Hey everybody, this is Keith Baker from Dusty Attic Studio, and today we are going to mix a complete song in Studio One using just presets. So let me go ahead and pop up Studio One. And several months ago, I put together a tutorial video that is an introduction to the Cambridge Mixing Secrets. It's a place where you can get the stems, the multi-tracks. They're called stems. You can go there onto their website and you can browse through a whole bunch of songs, all kinds of them. And you find one you like, and then you can download the stems and then bring them into Studio One so you can use them for practicing mixing. Now, the video that I did before pretty much ends where we are here, so we're going to start off where we left off. This is going to be on YouTube, so down below, if you have not seen the video, down below on YouTube, I'm going to have a link to where you can watch that video to see exactly how I got all these stems into Studio One. I'm also going to have a couple of links on there to some of the community sites, the social media. Facebook, we got the Presonus Studio One group, which is for technical support. And we also have the Studio One Sessions group, which is there with, got a bunch of different people in there. Everybody helps each other out. There's no dumb questions. And that particular site is to help people with mixing. There's another one out there, Johnny Guide. You've probably heard his name around. He's got his HST group, great resource. He can certainly help you out where me or the rest of the guys in those other groups can't. Again, you want to get familiar with him. He's got a lot of tutorials that range from beginner all the way up to the advanced, also including a lot of the instructional videos on how a lot of the hardware works. But you can go check that out. He'll be more than happy to show you. So let's go ahead and get started here. Like I said, this is taking up where we left off, where I brought the stems into Studio One. I'm going to hit my F3 key here on the keyboard. This is on Windows. They do make a version for Mac, so don't you guys think that you've been left out. I don't use Mac, so I only know the commands on Windows. So I'm going to hit F3 here, and I'm going to remove that takes away the mixer here. And here's all the stems. You can see they're all different colors. And I'm scrolled through here. This song has 13 tracks. It's a song that you will probably hear a lot around the community, especially for beginners, because it's only 13 tracks. The Cambridge Mixing Secrets, they got they got a lot of stuff in there, and fantastic recordings. The captures are done in professional studios, and really helps out when you're beginning to have good captures. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to hit F3 again. This section down here is your mixer. That's where all the treatments are going to be done. And we're going to get started on that shortly. First thing is that I like to do, everybody has their own little way of doing things. There are some industry standards, but, everybody has something different. Excuse me while I have a drink. Iced tea. You want to go up here to the top. This area here has all kinds of tools up here that we'll get into on more advanced videos. Again, this one we're just going to do a quick mix just using presets. But you're going to go up here and you're going to click on this little flag, and you're going to see this pops open, and you're going to see your start marker here. Okay, so with the start marker, there's got to be an end somewhere. So right here, you grab this bar, you can scroll down. You can see this is where the stems end. Oh, the track's end right there. And I'm going to keep on going down here. And there it is. It's at the 5-minute mark. That is a default setting for Studio One. You can change that. You can customize Studio One any way you want. But this one is still set at default at 5 minutes. So what we need to do, this little tool right here is it's a zoom tool. You can grab it with your mouse and click it and drag it in or drag it way out. But then that brings it in so you can see everything here. I'm going to grab this end marker and I'm just going to bring it in because this song's about 3 minutes long, maybe a little shorter. So once I do that, it's up here again. This is you can mouse over this and scroll your mouse wheel. That zooms in and out. But for now, I'm going to right click up here and I'm going to go fit timeline to contents. And that puts everything right so you can see in your start in your end marker. I'll show you later why this is important. Up here in this little area here, this is for setting your loops. That's something else that's real important. It'll come in handy. For now, I'm going to go ahead and you click in it and you drag it down. Make sure it's in between there. Then you come down here. And this right here turns it on and off. You can see it's on. So what it'll do is once it gets down to that end part up here, it'll just start the song over. Again, that's a really good tool so you don't have to keep hitting rewind. And anyway, so we got that set. Now, something else that I like to do, it helps clean things up. I like to color my tracks particular colors. It doesn't matter what color you make them, whatever's comfortable for you. So we got all of our drums here, all the way up to percussion. Mixing Secrets also does this really nice thing where they number their tracks. So when you bring them into Studio One, like you'll see on the first tutorial video that I did about Cambridge Mixing Secrets, and it brings everything in order, general order of how you'd want to be mixing this thing. You're always going to want to start with your drums. I don't know if there's anybody that starts on other instruments first. I mean, you always get your drums set right, and then you mix everything into the drums. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the first one here. That's track 1, which is your kick. I'm going to go over here to percussion, which just happens to be the last one. I'm going to hit Shift on the keyboard. I know you can't see that, but I'm hitting Shift. And then I'm going to click on the percussion. And it's going to highlight everything from the first one that I clicked on to the last one. It's like your typical Windows feature, how you can click on a file, either hit Control and you can select multiple ones, or you can hit Shift and you can click on one, hit Shift, and click on the last one. They all highlight. Presonus is really good about utilizing tools that are already in Windows. Really helps with their workflow. Anyway, we got those all highlighted. I'm going to go down here in an area like where they're right next to where it's got the name, and just hit on an area here. And I'm just going to click, and it's going to open up my colors here. And I like to make my drums green, so I'm going to come up here to my dark green. I'm going to go ahead and hit that. And now all of my drums are one color. And then we're going to scoot on down here. There's only one bass. I don't mind having a purple bass. It makes it easy to see. Piano, that's a kind of a light gray color or light blue. I'm going to go ahead and leave that at that color as well. And I got 3 guitars here. I got electric guitar, and I got 2 acoustic guitars. I'm going to want to make them the same color. I'm going to click on the first one, hit Shift, and it highlights all 3 of them. And I can come over here to any of them right here, click it, and I make my guitars blue, typically a dark blue. Okay, and then we're down to our vocals and do the same thing. Click on the first one, get your lead vocal, and it's got 2 backing vocals. We're going to go ahead and highlight those, and let's see, what color should we make these? Let's get creative here. I like kind of darker colors, a little easier on the eyes. That one's not too, that's not really a pretty good looking color here, so let's make it a little, that's better. It's a little more subtle on the eyes. The reason why you do this like I said, this song only has 13 tracks. When you get into more advanced stuff, or even when you're doing your own recordings, you're going to find that these tracks can pile up quick. I've mixed things over 100 tracks before. Since they all don't fit on the screen, when you have them color coded and you know what you typically make them, it's just easy to kind of zip through and find what you're looking for. So here we are ready. I've got everything set up the way I like it. I'm going to do something here that I don't think a lot of people do, but I like to start and come in here and mute all my tracks. I'm just going to scroll down. You can click on one mute and just drag it down, and it mutes everything. Up here, I might as well go ahead and tell you what these are, so since you're not familiar with this. This is mute. You got your solo. The S is solo, and then you have your monitoring, and then you have your record buttons. It's actually not record. This is actually arming the track because your record's down here. This area down here is your transport. This is pretty similar to any tape deck that you used to use back in the old days. You got your rewind, fast forward, fast reverse, and then of course you got your stop and your play and your record. But we're not going to be doing any recording today. We're just going to go ahead and mix this song up. Okay, so we got everything set up and ready to go. Okay, we are going to start with the kick. We're going to come here and open this up. You can either double click it or you can hit the little arrow. So let's start with the little arrow. This area here is your channel strip. This is where you're going to be putting in your treatment. Let me unmute this and let's take a listen to this kick. I can tell you right now from looking at this that these were tracked a little hot. It's not too bad. Looks like we're peaking out at around negative 4.6 dB. Okay, so what we're going to do, since we're doing this mixing with presets only, I'm going to show you where you find your presets. And we're starting with the kick drum, so you click this. If you click this little here, this little plus mark here, this is basically where all your plugins are going to be that you're going to use. Or, of course, everything is over here. You can get your browser. You can open or close your browser. I typically leave it open. I do drag some in here from here occasionally. But again, that plus is a duplicate of what's over here on the right. But we're not going to do that. We're going to click this arrow, and we're going to go up here to drums. And we're going to look down here and look down here. We're going to find a rock kick. This is a rock song. And I'm going to go ahead and click that, and it automatically brings in a compressor, and it brings in an EQ, which are your typical tools that you're going to use the most on mixing. Let's take a listen to see what that kick sounds like now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and this right here, I can turn it on and off. Let's listen to the different with or without the treatment. It's off. And that's on. Pretty dramatic. So let's open up I double click the compressor here, opens it up. This is your standard compressor that it's in Studio One. And then you can go over here, and what this does is open up the EQ. I'm going to close this because it's the same as opening up this. You can click between the two of them, and that's the setting for that. Let me go ahead and start that again so we can hear it. You can see everything that's going on in here. And quite frankly, I like the way this sounds, just the way it is. If I didn't like it, I can go up through here and I can look for some other bass drums, kick drums, the same thing, and find what you're looking for. But this is a preset that I typically use, and then I go into my EQ, and then I'll make some custom settings in there just to get it just like I want it. But again, we are mixing with presets right here today. The next video that I'll do after this will start going into doing more customizing your settings and your treatments. So I'm kind of digging the way that kick sounds. Okay, let me just rewind it back. Let's close that. Let's go to the snare. Let's open that up. Let's go ahead and unmute it. You know what? Before I do that, like I said, these tracks were recorded a little hot. I'm gonna turn the levels down as I go along to get them in a usable area, a range, to give myself plenty of headroom here. Let me hit this kick again because I think that is almost clipping a little bit. What I typically like to do once it's treated, let me turn it down. I like it somewhere in between the negative 12 and negative 6 dB. You know, 9 is in there. Okay, that looks like a good spot. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this. I'm just going to let that play, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to unmute the snare. There's no treatment on the snare. Let me mute the kick so you can just hear the snare alone. Not too bad. It's a good capture. So let's go up here to your arrow again, and we're going to go back to drums. And I'm going to go down here. I'm going to look for a rock snare. Let's use that one right there. Now listen to the difference when I click on it and bring in the compressor and the EQ. And that really shot the level up. You don't want that. So let's bring this down. I would say right around the same level as the bass for now, but we're going to go ahead and do a little mixing as we go, level setting as we go. So let's bring that kick drum back in. That doesn't sound too bad. Let's try it off. Back on. It gives it a whole lot more snap. You can hear the snares on the bottom a whole lot better now. Okay, I think that kick and snare sounds pretty good. Probably kind of come down a little bit on that. And I'm just going to rewind this back. And again, we're mixing with presets, so I am not changing any of the compression settings. And I'm not going to change the EQ settings, although I would. It kind of goes against everything that I've learned as an engineer to leave those as they are, but really this is just to show you how well and how close these presets can get you, so you can start mixing right away. Okay, so we got the snare done. And now I'm going to go to the overheads. Overheads, something I didn't say, I didn't cover yet. Let me scroll in over here. I'm going to zoom into a little bit. I'm going to show you. Here's all your kick. These are called transients. You know, you can see the individual kicks. Same thing with the snare. You see a little bit of stuff in between. That's just the bleed from other, coming from the rest of the kit. And you can see they're single. These are all single. This one you've got two. This is what you call a stereo file, a stereo wave file. It was recorded with two microphones. So the overheads, when you're miking a drum set, you're going to have two microphones above that are strategically placed, that are really to pick up your cymbals. For the most part, it's going to pick up a whole bunch of other stuff going on in the drum set, which actually can be used if you mix them in right. Give you a little room ambient. So if you watch here, I'm going to go ahead and unmute that. And you can see here, it's got 2 levels. That's one for your left track and one for your right track. Okay, let's stop that so you can hear me here. And we're going to go up here again to your little arrow. Going to go up to drums. And we're going to scroll down here, and there is a setting for overheads. And you click that. And again, here's your compressor. And these have been set up by the Presonus engineers to get you close. This area up here that's a little hot for me. We'll get into that more into another video, but that could make the cymbals a little bright. But that's okay for now. I'm going to close this down. I know that's going to be loud, so I'm going to bring that down now. So since I got my snare and my kick going, then I'm going to start blending in my overheads and my cymbals. You can hear that hi-hat nice. And you can already start to hear the stereo field because of that stereo file. You just heard a crash there on the left. So let's move right along, and we're going to go to your toms. They were nice enough to do that stereo too. Typically, there's going to be a single microphone on each tom, and you'll have like tom 1, tom 2, tom 3, tom 4, and you're gonna pan those accordingly. In this case, we don't have to do it because it's been done for you. Panning is real important to give you your stereo field, which we're going to get into a little bit once we get done with the bass. Okay, but for now, let's go ahead and treat these toms. I'm going to hit the arrow as usual, drums, and I'm going to look for, well, they have floor toms. Like I said, you usually treat them differently. And they got rack toms. I'm going to go ahead and use rack toms. I use that a lot. Now you're going to see in here, this time, you got your compressor and your EQ, but it also brought in an expander. Expander is kind of like a gate, kind of keeps things quiet. Again, we'll go into that deeper into the next video. I'll show you a little bit of what it does, but let me bring this down, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna zoom in here, and I know my toms, because everything you click on down here clicks on up here as well. And you have all your same things up here, your solo and your mute and your record. This little tool here, you can click that, and makes it so you can see things a little bit better. It kind of zooms in. I'm going to find a place where I know there's some tom hits. You can see right in here, we know we got some toms going on. So I'm just going to, I clicked up here to bring my cursor, and let me play that and see if it's got toms in there. It's got 1 tom in there, so let me actually scroll down and find a place like right here. You can see there's a couple other tom hits. Let's listen to that. That's good. Got them all there. So I'm going to actually move that up so I can just scroll in here. I'm going to grab my little tool, my little loop tool here, and I'm going to loop that area right there. Let me zoom in a little tighter so I make sure I can see those hits right there. And I'm going to move that over there and bring that over into where those hits are. And what it's going to do is going to keep looping that one spot over and over and over. It's drive you crazy. Hey, but that's the price you pay for wanting to be an audio engineer. So let me go ahead and hit play, and it's going to keep going over that one spot. Now that's what you hear over there. That's just the overhead. I haven't even brought these brought the level up yet for these toms. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do something a little different here. Excuse me for this. I'm going to solo my vocal mic. I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to solo these toms. Now everything else is muted but the toms, so let's go ahead and play and listen to that. I'm going to turn those off. Again, you can turn them all off right here and listen to the difference. And back on. Just sounds so much cleaner. Okay. Let's stop that and let's go ahead and bring everything back up to that point. And let's listen to it with the rest of the drum set. Okay, let's turn that loop off, start it back, and let's listen to what we got up to that point. Make a few more small adjustments on our levels. That doesn't sound too bad. Good sounding drums. And only using presets, pretty amazing. Okay, well let's keep going. Let's bring in our percussion instruments. You know what that is? It's your bongos and tambourines and things like that. This song, if you haven't heard it before, it's got a real Latin flavor to it, and it's really gonna start sounding Latin here in just a second. So let's go ahead and play. I'm gonna unmute that, and we're gonna hit play, and let's listen and just bring this percussion in. Again, that was done, usually a percussionist has got several microphones, and they've obviously already set this up, as you can see, as a stereo file. And that sounds pretty awesome right there. I don't have any presets for percussion instruments. These sound really good, so for now I'm just going to leave it alone and just set the level. And we're going to move on to our next instrument, which is our bass. So let me go ahead and rewind that, hit play. Let me take the mute off, bring it down a little bit. And this is the bass, dry or untreated. And let's see what it sounds like. Sounds pretty good, but let's get some treatment on that. I apologize for having to do this way. If I muted the bass without soloed the bass without soloing my microphone over here, you wouldn't be able to hear me. Anyway, let's go over here. Let's solo the bass so we can listen to it isolated by itself. I mean, that's a really clean bass. I mean, I almost hate to put treatment on it, but we're going to do it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and come up here like we typically do. So your bass is a guitar in this case. So we're going to go to guitar, and you're going to see they have a preset here called Funk Bass. I don't know who came up with the colorful names for some of this stuff, but we're going to go ahead and put that. I know for a fact that this particular setting is really woofy. I'll let you hear real quick. It's got a little bit too much low frequencies going on in there. So we're going to go up and change this. I'm going to leave the compressor where it is. I'm going to double click on my EQ here, and you can see they've pushed it up. Oh gosh, I guess it's somewhere around the 96 to 100 range. and that's pushing a lot of bass in there, and they haven't rolled off anything on the end. Again, we'll get into that on the next video where we get more into mixing. So what I'm going to do is they do have some other presets on EQ for bass. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click on this where it says Pro EQ, arrow down. I'm going to go down to Instruments. You'll learn your way around where everything is. When the more you use Studio One, you'll learn your navigation. It's just like any other computer program that you have to get used to. But we're going to go over here to Instruments, and you're going to see I got a whole bunch of different bass settings here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play it, and I'm going to go through those till I hear one that sounds good. So let's go ahead and do that. Nicole bass line. I'm looking for something with a little more punch. Well, that sounds good. Let's go on down. That's really got a lot of mids in it. Your punk rock, it's got a lot of lows in it. Round and deep, kind of sounds like what it's called, doesn't it? Warm bass line. That's got way too much low frequencies going on for me. Let's go up here to this one, just regular bass guitar. I like the way that sounds. Everything's kind of controlled. I'm going to go ahead and hit this here so you can actually see what's going on. These are a lot of unwanted low frequencies that you'll roll off. Like I said, we'll go through that in the next video. But for now, I think we're going to leave that setting. I like it. Let's let me rewind that back, and I'm going to unsolo the bass. Okay, I got it all figured out now. Sorry about that. So let's take a listen to see what the drums and the bass sounds like now. We're going to set that level here. Starting to sound pretty good there. All right. Kind of digging the way that sounds. All right, well, let's start bringing in some of the other instruments. They got next in line here is a piano, so let's do like they have it. I'm going to unmute that. Here, and we have presets for piano too. Click on your arrow, and I'm going to go to Instruments this time, and I'm going to go down here. They got a grand piano. Let's click on that. Let's see what that sounds like. Let me go ahead and solo that. And let's see what that piano, let me turn this off, see what it sounds like first. Sounds like an electric piano to me. So let's go ahead and turn these treatment back on, and let's listen to the difference. On, off, on. Really adds some nice sounds to it. All right, let's turn that off. Now, of course, you got your compressor, your EQ. This time, they put in a little reverb to give this particular preset to give that piano a little sustained sound to it. So that's cool. I'm digging where that is right now. So let's go ahead and mix it in, see what it sounds like. This is kind of weird. I might as well talk about this now while I'm here. This piano. Typically pianos, if you're using MIDI, which we'll get into later, or even real pianos that are mic'd. They're typically a stereophile. I'm really surprised that this one is a mono piano. In the next video, I'm going to show how to make that sound a little wider, make it sound more like a more natural piano. But for now, they have it sitting right in the middle. We're going to get to panning here. I'm not sure if I'll leave that piano in the middle or not. I may these little tools right here, so you can pan it left and right. I'll do that real quick. I'm just going to cut my mic off, but let me let you hear this. That's real important. Once we get further into mixing, it's what's really going to open this song up, because up to now we really haven't had to do any panning, because your kick drum is going to be sitting kind of in the middle, your snare, your overheads have already a stereophile, so I didn't have to pan that. The toms are a stereophile, didn't have to pan that. Same thing with the percussion. Bass, you're typically going to leave that around center. I don't know if I'm going to leave it in the center now yet, or we'll see where that ends up. All right, let's bring that down. Let's mix this piano in, see what it sounds like right in the center. Okay, for now, I'm just going to leave it right there. This thing's really starting to sound good, and only with presets. I love it, and I really love what they put together with Studio One. Okay, I'm going to rewind this back. They got the electric guitar here. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and put that electric guitar in. Let's see here. I'm going to turn that down and unmute it, and let's go back to the beginning here, and let's just play it and see what it sounds like. You know what, before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and solo it out and listen to see what it sounds like by itself here. Electric guitar. Turn it up so we can hear it. Sounds pretty good. This was an amplifier that was mic, so it's got some treatment on it already. You know, probably a foot pedal. I don't know exactly what the guitar player used, but that sounds pretty cool. But let's go ahead and give it some treatment anyway. Let's find something that looks good for an electric guitar. So let me go with my inserts. Let's go up to guitar, and we got a couple of different ones here. We don't want to use the acoustic or funk bass, obviously. I got some presets that I've made in here for clients and for some of my own music, which you can do that. Once you make a chain of treatment in here, EQ, compression, whatever the case may be, you can save that and use it later. You know what? For now, I'm just going to go ahead and bring in the basic acoustic, even though I know that's not going to sound right. So what I'm going to do, since I didn't see one that's just really just for a plain old rock guitar, I'm going to click on my compressor, open it up, and again, up here where it says compressor, this is on all of the plugins. They will have additional presets. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to go to guitar. And then I'm going to find, I'm just going to put rock guitar, so that's going to change that compressor. Again, presets. And then I'm going to go back on over here to our EQ. I'm going to go to, it's under instruments on this one. And I'm going to look for guitar. We'll just call it guitar player. They got a lot cut off here. It cuts out a lot of the low frequencies. I would typically pull these mids down, but we're using presets, so I'm going to leave it like it is, and I'm going to see what this sounds like. It's a little more MIDI sounding, mid-range sounding that I'd like it to be, but I'm cool with it. I'm going to close that. But the guitar sounds a lot really dry. So we're going to actually bring in some treatment in the sended area. We're going to bring in some reverb on this guitar. It's got a little bit of something on there already, but I'd like it to be a little more wet. So I'm going to come over here to my plugins, and I'm going to go to Presonus. You can set it up for flat or folder. I usually have it set at folder, but we'll just do vendor for now, and it just puts these things here. I'm going to go to Presonus, and I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm going to look for room reverb. Let's find a room reverb. And here it is. And I'm just going to grab this and pull it over into the sends. And for now, I'm going to close this. Let's see where it popped it up. Where is it? Oh, room reverb right there. I'm just going to grab this and move it over to the right of the track that I'm using. So what it is when you bring in a send, it automatically creates what's called an FX bus. I'm going to show you why this is. But for now, I'm just going to show you it's an FX bus. It's got the rim reverb. That is the same reverb right there. Reverb is a CPU hog. If your computer's not real fast, you can start running into a problem when you start running a lot of tracks with a lot of instances of reverb, but I'm going to show you how you can fix that. And that's where this bus comes in. Anyway, let's take a listen to that room reverb on that guitar, see if it sounds any better. Ooh, that sounds nice. And that's default too. I'll turn this reverb off. You can hear the difference. It's probably a little more reverb than I would normally use, but let's just leave it at that for now. And let's go ahead and unsolo that. And we're going to see what that guitar sounds like mixed with the rest of the song here. Let's go ahead and play it. Okay, that sounded pretty good there. So let's move on down. This is the acoustic guitar up here. I'm gonna unmute that, and let's solo it, and let's see what it sounds like by itself here. Okay, this one is the guitar that you hear at the very beginning. That's kind of the intro guitar, acoustic steel string that strums through the whole song. It really sounds good. It's dry, but we're gonna put a little treatment on it here. Same thing. We're gonna go up here and hit this arrow. Guitar, and we're going to use the basic acoustic. Again, I wouldn't use these particular settings, and it's really going against everything that I've learned, but we're going to see what that sounds like by itself. Again, let's take a listen. That doesn't sound too bad. That didn't work bad at all, but it's kind of dry. Now, you remember when I came over here and I grabbed my room reverb? I could do that again, but what it'll do is it'll create another bus. But I don't want to do that. I want to use the same reverb that I used on my electric guitar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this and grab it, and I'm just going to bring it over and drop it on here. So now it's sharing the same reverb. Let's play that so you can hear it. And I know what you're thinking, like, wow, you got the same reverb on two guitars. But right in here, you can grab these and change. You can change them so one can have more aggressive reverb than the other one. One could have very little reverb. But again, presets. All right, so let's take a listen to this. Let's take a listen to it with the rest of the music. This really is starting to sound good. Sounds great, but we're going to start doing some panning now. So I'm going to start soloing. Fix my microphone here. I'm going to solo the electric guitar and the acoustic guitar. I'm going to play those two together, just listen to them, and I'm going to kind of spread those out. I'm going to give this some stereo feel, so because they just sound like they're sitting right in the middle. Let's play it. I mean, the only thing that makes it sound like it's spread out is the reverb, but I'm going to go ahead and start panning these. I think I'm going to go a little left with the electric, and I'm going to go a little right with the acoustic. So let's try that. Sounds pretty good. So let's bring those all back into the mix. Let's see what they sound like. Let me close this, and let's rewind this back and listen to it from the beginning. And I'm gonna go ahead and set the levels on the electric and the acoustic. I don't know, that sounds pretty good. I've only got the electric guitar is panned 50% left, and the acoustic guitar is 50% right. So let's move on to the next guitar. This guitar here, let me zoom in here so you can see. You can see this particular guitar. You only see it in certain spots. Let's hear what that is. Let's see what this sounds like here. But first, let me go ahead and solo it. And let's listen to see what it is. Oh, nice. That's a nylon string acoustic. Really got that Latin flavor. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and for now, I'm going to grab my little tool up here like we did before. And I'm going to set my loop. That way it'll let play over and over. Let's take a listen. And then I'm going to bring in some treatment again. Okay, I use your basic acoustic again. And we are going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to steal that reverb that we took from here. We moved it to here. Now I'm going to grab it again. I'm going to move it in here. So now we got 3 tracks with reverb, but it's all using the same reverb. Saves a lot of CPU. My face is down in the way over here, but we got a CPU meter. I'm going to click on it so you can see it up here. You can see what what I'm bouncing around at, just around 15% of my CPU. Had I used 3 different reverbs on there, that might be up around 30 or 40%. Because CPU uses a lot. I mean, the reverb uses a lot of CPU. We call it a CPU hog. All right, let's listen to that guitar now with that reverb that we added. Wow, that sounds sweet. Okay, accent guitar, obviously. Let's go ahead and bring it into the rest of the mix here. So I'm going to looping it here, so we're going to take advantage of that. Sounds really good. I'm just loving the way this is sounding with presets. I'm going to come down to this part here because I know there's a part in here where the electric guitar does one part and the acoustic guitar does another part. So that's going to help me decide whether I want to leave this guitar in the middle, if I want to pan it a little bit right opposite of this guitar. So you got electric guitar solo coming on the left and the acoustic guitar solo coming on the right. But let's see here. Let's see if this is a spot. Yep. Okay, let's bring my little loop marker up here. So we'll keep going over that spot. Yeah, since we got the electric guitar pan left, I'm gonna pan the acoustic guitar. Probably let's just do it at 50%. Let's keep it simple, and then let's mix this into the rest of the song. You saw me bring that rhythm acoustic in just a little bit because I didn't want to have everything panned, 2 acoustic guitars panned too hard right, but that sounds amazing. Let's listen to that one more time. That's sounding pretty darn good. Let me take the loop off. Let's listen to this thing from the beginning here. I think we're getting real close to start to bring in these vocals. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and play a song, let it play through. I'm going to be making some small adjustments, just level only, because we got them already treated the way we like them. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to, remember at the beginning when I say you can click on a track and then come down to the other end, you hit shift, and when you hit shift and click the last one, it highlights them. I'm going to add something to this drum set. I love the way these drums are sitting in the mix right now, but I'm not so sure that the level is right. So instead of going in here and adjusting each one of them, I'm going to put what's called a VCA fader on here. They're all highlighted. I'm coming over here to the percussion. I'm just going to right click. You're going to see here it says add VCA for selected channels. I'll show you what that does. It's just a little trick that helps you out. Now watch what happens when I pull this down. They all come down relevant to each other. So now I can change the drums because I like the way they're sitting. I can adjust the whole level of the kit. And I think that's a really awesome feature that Studio One has on here. So I'm going to start tweaking this. So bear with me. I'm going to let this song play through, and we're going to try and get good level set. Something else that I didn't tell you, you got this VCA fader that's moving all these drums, but you can still go in here and do some individual level setting without affecting the rest of them. I think my percussion's a little loud here, so let's fix that real quick. I'll tell you, I am digging the way this is sounding. Okay, well, let me do this. I'm going to take this reverb here. Since I have all these reverb, this one reverb bus, FX bus, you can grab it and move it around. I'm going to put it right at the end. I'm going to go ahead and double click it. I'm going to call it guitar, reverb. I'm just going to leave that right there. I do it like this. Again, if you go over here to your tools, I'll show you real quick. You can click these boxes, and it'll tell you, you can have them so they go in certain places. I like to be able to put them right where I'm working. My FX channels and my bus channels, which we haven't gotten to a bus channel yet. That will be the next video. If you set these to stay to the right and stay to the right, when it created that FX bus, it would be all the way over here on the right. If you create a bus, it'll be over here on the right. So the bus over here may be the bus for the drums. I don't like that, but again, that's personal preference. I got my guitars here. I got my guitar reverb right next to my guitar. It's easy to find. If I have to make a quick adjustment in here, it's all right together. Anyway, I think this is ready to start doing some lead vocals. So I'm going to click on my lead vocal track here and here you can see all the transients and where it is. I'm going to click up here and bring my cursor over to the beginning of the vocals. And I'm going to start by soloing the vocals. So let's listen to the vocals with no treatment.
Help me dry all my tears and help me allay all my fears and help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? Help me dry all my tears and help me allay all my fears and...
Sounds really good, and that's a great sounding mic. The vocalist, he's amazing, got a lot of talent. And I love the little bit of ambient room that you can hear. You can actually hear a little bit of natural reverb in the room, if you listen careful enough.
Help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that
I think that sounds awesome. But we're going to do some control on it. We're going to use a preset. So I'm going to open up this fader, this channel. And we're going to click here as usual. We're going to go to vocals. And I think I'm going to go to, let's go to male rock. As soon as I find it, where did it go? Here we go, male rock. That brought in, again, your compressor and my EQ. Let me see what the EQ looks like. It's probably not exactly how I would do it, but let's leave it there for now. Let's hear what it sounds like with the treatment on and off.
Help me dry all my tears and help me allay all my fears and help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? Help me dry all my tears and...
Yeah, it brings a little clarity to it. That's cool. All right, well, here's what we're going to do next. His voice is kind of dry, so I'm going to go back to my reverb. This is where I am going to use another instance of reverb. And let me scroll down. I'm going to find my room reverb. Here it is. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab it here. I'm going to drop it in my send. And let's hear what his vocals sound like with the reverb.
Help me dry all my tears and
not too bad.
Help me allay all my fears and help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? Help me dry all my tears and help me allay all my fears and help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that I've left.
I'm kind of digging at the default setting on this room reverb. I'll know better once I get the vocals mixed in. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and bring that vocal in. See the room reverb again. It created its bus, and let's back up and let's hear what that sounds like.
Help me dry all my tears and help me allay all my fears and help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? Help me dry all my tears and help me allay all my fears and help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? I'm alright. That I left in me, I'm alright. Get away from you, and I'll be fine. Cleaning out the corner, put it back in order. No, I will always have this too.
I tell you, this guy sounds amazing, and I'm liking that right there. So I do know this song. Let me take this reverb and move it down to the end of these vocals because I'm going to use that same reverb on the backup vocals too. I do know this song. The backup vocals are done by the lead vocalist. So we're going to cheat a little bit here. We're going to go ahead and steal the treatment that we have on the lead vocal, and we're going to bring it over into these backing vocals. So I'm going to grab the compressor, grab it, and pull it over. Click it and pull it over. And close it, and I'm going to click it and pull it over. So now I got the same compression all the way across the board. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the EQ. Bring that over. And bring that over. And I'm going to bring in, even though I don't want to have as much reverb on the backup vocals, I'm going to bring them over anyway. And I'm probably going to reduce some, because now when those backup vocals kick in, it's gonna have a lot of reverb. But for now, let's leave it. Let's see what it sounds like. Actually, before I go any further, I'm gonna solo all these together, and I'm gonna kind of mix these vocals together and see what they sound like. I'm gonna come up here, and I'm gonna scroll down, and I can see, here's my backing vocals. I'm gonna find a good spot here. I can see there that they're singing, so I'm just gonna click there and hit start. Let's play it so we can hear just the three vocal tracks together.
I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left in me. I'm alright being away from you, and I'll be fine cleaning up the corner, put it back in order. I know I will always have this too. Oh, yeah.
That sounds good. Now the backup vocals are a little loud, so I'm going to use that trick again here. I'm going to click on the one backing vocal. I'm going to hit Shift and click on the other one, select them both. That way I can kind of drag them down together. Now let's see what they sound like.
I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left in me. I'm alright being away from you, and I'll be fine cleaning up the corner, put it back in order. I know I will always have this too. Oh, yeah.
That's sounding pretty good. Now we're going to do one more thing here. Let's go back to that spot. Let's do some panning. These are mono tracks, as you can see. Go back up here. You got your stereo tracks like before. These are mono tracks, so let's really open this up. Let's start with, let's just go with 50%, keeping things very simple here. I think we'll probably be able to go a little bit wider than that. Now let's play that again and listen to it with them panned.
I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left in me. I'm alright being away from you, and I'll be fine cleaning up the corner, put it back in order. I know I will always have this too. Oh, yeah.
Sounds pretty good right there. I'm going to go ahead and do our little loop thing here. Grab my little loop tool. I'm going to play with that. Turn my loop on. I'm going to play with that panning and let it keep going over and over until I get it to where I think they're sitting right.
I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left in me. I'm alright being away from you, and I'll be fine cleaning up the corner, put it back in order. I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left in me. I'm alright being away from you, and I'll be fine cleaning up the corner, put it back in order.
Okay, I ended up going about 80, a little over 80% left and right, and that really sounds awesome. Okay, so I went ahead and turned my loop off, and what I'm going to do is unsolo these. Unmute these, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the lead vocal, hit my shift key, hit that. So now I know I got my backup vocals and my lead vocals mixed the way I want them to sound together, at least for now. So I'm going to go ahead and play it, and then I'm going to bring all of them in together. I'm going to do, let's do this. Since we did this before, I'm going to right click and I'm going to add a VCA for selected channels. And there it is. I'm just going to move everything together. I'm going to hit play. Let's see what it sounds like.
Dry on my tears and help me lay on my fears and help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that I left.
Okay, I am going to bring those up just a hair, the backup vocals. You know what? I want to take a look at that one more time, actually, because it sounds like the right channel is a little louder, but let's double check that.
I'm alright. As I pick up the pieces that I left in me, I'm alright. Feel away from you.
That's pretty close. But I still want to bring them up a little bit louder. So just the backup vocals.
I'm alright. As I pick up the pieces that I left in me, I'm alright. Feel away from you, and I'll be fine. Cleaning up the corner, put it back in order. No, I will always have this too. Oh, yeah. I'm alright. As I pick up the pieces that I left in me, I'm alright. Feel away from you, yeah. I'll be fine. Cleaning up the corner, put it back in order. No, I will always have this too. Big piece of you.
I don't know. That sounds pretty good to me. Let's start it from the beginning. And we're going to check some key spots that I happen to notice. I'm going to right click up here and I'm going to fit this timeline to contents there. I noticed some things in there that I wanted to check while I'm listening. I'm not so sure I'm happy with the tom fills in there. Some of them sound real loud at times and some of them sound kind of quiet. So let's play through and take a listen.
I know the seasons about to change. It's changing all around. I know the reasons you've arranged. You're tearing me down. Where is the peacefulness of mine? Where will my heart come back to life? I'm alright. As I pick up the pieces that I've left in me, I'm alright. Feel away from you, and I'll be fine. Cleaning up the corner.
I'm going to roll back and listen to that. I'm just hitting rewind back to those tom hits there. I think they sounded a little loud. Let's see.
Come back to life.
Not too bad. I might come here and you can mouse over your fader here and you can use the scroll wheel. I'm just going to bump it down just a hair. Turn it down. Let's listen to that again.
Come back to life.
That's good.
I'm alright. As I pick up the pieces that I've left in me, I'm alright. Feel away from you, and I'll be fine. Cleaning up the corner, put it back in order. I know I will always have this too. A little piece of you. My hands, back in the darkness, blind the day. Bring back the light. Where is the pleasure in the pain? Where is my shelter in the rain? Well, I'm alright. As I pick up the pieces that I left in me, I'm alright. Feel away from you, and I'll be fine. Cleaning up the corner, put it back in order. But no, I will always have this too. A little piece of you. Help me dry all my tears and help me.
I think I'm going to turn that electric guitar up just a little bit. That guitar solo sounds like a little bit behind the mix, so let me go back over here where this guitar solo is. And let's bump that up a little bit.
A little piece of you. Help me dry all my tears and help me allay all my fears and help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? Help me dry all my tears and help me allay all my fears and help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? I'm alright. As I pick up the pieces that I left beneath, I'm alright. Feel away from you. I'll be fine. Cleaning out the corner, put it back in order. No, I will always have this too. Yeah. I'm alright. As I pick up the pieces that I left beneath, I'm alright. Feel away from you. Yeah. I'll be fine. Cleaning out the corner, put it back in order. No, I will always have this too. Big piece of you.
I tell you what, that sounds darn good with mixing a song with presets. Absolutely amazing. I'm speechless. I actually didn't expect it to sound as good as it does, even though a lot of this stuff went against, my experiences on how I would like things to be treated. But overall, that's pretty amazing. Well, I tell you what. From now, what we're going to go from go to is, remember where we put our start and our end spot. That's where this is going to come into play here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of little odds and ends to this, so we can export this song, so we can burn it onto a CD and you can play it in your car, or whatever, your home stereo. But we got to get the levels, the total output levels exactly where it's supposed to be, and we got to use another tool with a preset for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come on down to here. This is what's called your mix bus. This is where everything comes down to it. You can see my vocals here, and let me shut up for a minute and play some of this. You can see. So you can open that up. Now, if we were doing mastering, which again, that's going to come to go to another video, I would be putting some treatment on here. I'd probably put a little bus compressor to kind of glue things together. I might even put some tape saturation, and probably drop an EQ on here just to make sure that I got all the frequencies out that I don't want, and boost a little here and pull a little bit down there. But as you see here on the post, I'm going to click this. I had that on there already. Post is what we're going to do, is we're going to put a limiter on here. I'm going to just go click right over here and look for limiter. I left that limiter on there before by accident. Oh, here it is. Here's your Presonus limiter. Just drag that into post. That's it. Post is the end. It's just like it is. It's the end of everything. So what we want to do is set our limiter. It's at default right now. The default setting is actually really good. But for the sake of having something, I'm going to go ahead and set this limiter to 0 dB. What that's going to do is going to allow me, let me turn it off and I'll show you what happens when you don't have your limiter on there. Real quick, you'll cause clipping.
Where will my heart come back to life? I'm alright.
See, that's what you don't want happening. So let me turn that back down, turn my limiter back on. And what I'm going to do, you can see what's going on up here as well as here, is I'm going to play the song and I'm going to start to push it into the limiter, and I'm going to read, if you see this white part here, that's called your RMS. That's really where you're going to get your volume from. You can really push hard into a limiter, The loudness war is over. Google it, ask what the loudness war is, and read up on it. And people think that you got to make the song as loud as you can, but for me, it's all about dynamic range. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use the limiter. We're going to catch some of the peaks. I mean, if you got this mix right, and it's pretty good, all it's going to do is catch some of the peaks. It's probably going to be what would push it over the edge is probably a snare hit or a crash or something like that, or maybe there's a vocal that pops up a little louder in the mix. And what that's going to do is it's going to put is this a brick wall limiter? It's going to hit the limiter, and it's going to keep it from going over 0. But pushing into the limiter also has its purpose, because if you don't, you can find that when you burn it to a CD and you play it in your car, you have to turn your volume up a whole lot louder than you normally would. So we're going to try and get this song set to approximately what CD level is. So I'm going to go ahead and play through this, and watch right here. This right here is going to show me what my reduction is. That's going to tell me how hard, how much it's pushing it down, where if it wasn't, it would be going over 0. So I typically don't like to go any more than about -2 dB of reduction. Anything over that, you're really kind of pushing it harder, and you can cause distortion, and I really don't need. You start losing your dynamic range. I'll go into dynamic range, explain that in the next video. We're starting to get in a little bit deeper. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking here. We're going to play this, and we're going to set this level.
As I pick up the pieces that are left in me, I'm alright. Feel away from you, and I'll be fine. Cleaning up the corner, put it back in order. I know I will always have this too. A little piece of you.
That actually looks pretty good right there. You see my reduction is coming here. I am going to go a little bit into dynamic range. Dynamic range is what you see from your RMS, which is the white line here, and where it peaks out at 0. If you watch real careful, if you turn the volume up too loud, your master fader here, or mixed bus fader, you can call it either or. If we were going to be mastering in here, this would be your master bus, but this is it's called either or, so mixed bus or master bus. Watch what happens when I push this harder into the limiter.
Alright, feel away from you. I'll be fine. Cleaning up the corner, put it back in order. But though I will always have this too.
You'll see that the RMS level is hitting up around 12, which isn't horrible, but you see up here that we've smashed the song down 6 decibels. So where I had my mouse up here, that's called your dynamic range, and the harder you push it into it, the less you get your dynamic range in here. I mean, pretty soon you press it so hard that the white line is up here, your RMS line's here, and you don't have any movement in between your stereo field, and it's just crushed into the limiter. It sounds horrible. I hate it. So let's get back, let's put this back down to where it belongs. So I'm going to have to start over. I'll go ahead and click on this, and that clears it. Just a click on the mouse, and...
Alright, feel away from you. I'll be fine. Cleaning up the corner, put it back in order. But though I will always have this too. on my fusing. Help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? Help me dry on my tears and help me, I lay on my fusing. Help me, I think I am falling. Does anybody hear me calling? I'm alright. As I look up the
Okay, that's not bad. Just going a little over. I said that I like it around no more than -2 dB of reduction. That little 0.35 is probably just a snare hit, so that's not going to hurt your dynamic range. So I'm going to leave it right there. So let's close that. This is ready to export or render. You're going to render all your tracks, all 13 of them. You're going to render them into one stereo file or export. Industry term is render your tracks. And so what you're going to do is you're going to come over here. You're going to go to your song here. You're going to go to export mix down. This little window is going to pop up. No matter if you're using Studio One Artist or if you're using Studio One Pro, this window is going to look exactly the same. There's only subtle differences. I'm using Pro here, but let me explain. First thing you want to do is come over here, and you know we have our start and our end marks. So we're going to make sure this is checked here between song start and end marker. That's where that comes in important, because that's where it's going to export. That's where it's going to render. It's going to render it from the start right to the end. That's your song. That's your song length. And this one in particular, it just happens to be sitting exactly at 3 minutes. If it was at 5 minutes, this would say 5 minutes. But anyway, since we're going to be going, we're going to be burning this to a CD so we can, run out and do the car test like everybody does. If you haven't done it before, trust me, you'll be burning through hundreds of CDs running out to make sure it sounds right in the car. But we've all been there and done that, so it's no big deal. So we're going to make sure we set this to WAV file, okay, which it already was. Your resolution is going to be at 16-bit. If you click on it, you're going to see all this. You're going to see 24-bit, you're going to see 32-bit, and you're going to be like, wow, why do I want 16? I'm going to want it to be 24-bit, or heck, I want it to be nice and clear at 32. Well, all CD players in the car, your home, wherever, they only read at 16-bit. So you're asking, well, what's the big deal? Okay, fine, it'll play at 16-bit if you have 24. Well, yeah, it doesn't work that way. What happens is you lose the lower register in your CD if you burn it to 24. It's still only going to read 16-bit, but 24-bit, your lower register of your CD is all your bottom end of the song, all your basses, your low notes, and everything like that. So what's going to happen is your song's going to sound like it has no bass in it. It's just going to be ear-piercing, bright, nasty. You're going to hate it. So always, I can't stress that enough, you're going to go to 16-bit for doing WAV files. If you got Pro and you want to do an MP3, you can do an MP3. You can go all the way up to 320, an MP3 320, which is the highest resolution that I know of, unless there's something out there that I don't know. But artist, you only have the option to export as a WAV file. Pro, you can do the MP3. That way you can put it on social media or put it on SoundCloud or sell it or CD Baby or whatever as a digital download. But you can always get a third-party converter from WAV to MP3. But we're going to go ahead and do WAV. Leave all this other stuff. You can leave a default. Just make sure you got your between song start and end marker. And we're just going to hit OK. And there you go. It just rendered all 13 tracks with all the treatment to a single WAV file. We'll go up here and hit save. You didn't notice, but I've been hitting Control S as we've been going along, so I'm saving as I'm going along, but I'll go ahead and click save here. Yeah, I can't stress enough that you want to save during, the whole time that you're sitting here doing all this mixing. And what has this been, a couple of hours? And man, the power goes out and you're like, oh wow, I lost all my work. Well, Studio One does have auto save every 5 minutes. I leave it at default at 5 minutes, but you should still save as you go along. That's a no-brainer. Okay, so let me go ahead and close this down or minimize this. So when you export your mix down, render your tracks, it'll pop up, it'll open up the window, the folder right where it's at, and it's going to be under the song name. I'm all right. It's a mix down. So what I'm going to do is just grab it, just move it over to my desktop. I can close this down, and I'm just going to name it. All right. And there you go. You have your WAV file. That's your song. It's ready to burn to a CD. So that's really it. That's as far as I'm going to take this video. I think it went long enough. I really only wanted it to go, an hour 15, an hour 20 minutes. I think we're pushing more 2 hours. But anyway, this is how you mix a song in Studio One using presets. It's real easy. Again, I got the stems from the Cambridge Mixing Secrets. And I have a video that shows you how to download those and how to bring them into Studio One. At the bottom here on YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and put all the links that you need. I'm going to put a link, if you come across this video by accident first, I'm going to have a link to the video that shows you how to import the stems from Mixing Secrets. I'm also going to give you some links to some social media sites that do only Studio One. Again, there's the Presonus Studio One group, which helps with technical support. If I'm not mistaken, there's about 16 or 17,000 members there. So, if you run into the problem in the middle of the night, and it's worldwide, you run into a problem in the middle of the night and you're like, oh man, I need some help. You type a question in there, you usually get an answer within a minute or so. Then you got the Studio One Sessions group that I developed a couple of years ago. That's all about mixing. You can put your song on there and let some of the other engineers who are in the group take a listen to it, and they're going to give you some tips and tricks. If you have a question about any engineering, that group has about 6,000 members. Like I said, it's only 2 years old and it's doing great. And you can certainly get an answer for any questions right away. And remember, we are a very close-knit community, the Studio One community. There are no dumb questions. We've all been there, done that. The people in our groups are they're in all different ranges of experience, from the beginner all the way up to, we got some really good producers out there. I'm not going to tell you who their names are, but they're sneaking around in the group, some Grammy winners. So everybody's there to help. It also is monitored by the people from Presonus, and they are just dynamite people. They can get you all the help that you need through social media. Now, Presonus does have their own forums, but if you've got Studio One, you'll be able to, or any Presonus product for that matter, you're already a member of those groups, and you can see that on their websites. Johnny Geib, another great resource. He's a good buddy of mine. He's in Illinois, just kind of south of Chicago, if I remember right. And he's got his own website. He's also got his Facebook group, which is called the HST, Home Studio Trainer. And Johnny's a nice guy. Here's a guy that'll give you the shirt off his back if you ever need any help. So I'm going to put all the links to those sites on this YouTube video. You're going to have everything you need. And I guess the next time I see you, we're going to be doing some custom setups on the presets to really dial in this song to get it perfect. Even though it sounds amazing, there's still some room in there where we can go in and make some tweaks. I'm also going to show you how to use buses, and I'm also going to show you how to use third-party plugins. But again, man, thanks for stopping by. Thank you. I hope to see you guys soon. Again, it's Keith Baker from Dusty Attic Studios, and keep on rocking.